All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to a daily update, my 1000 day challenge. This is day 208. So let's get things started. All right, so first and foremost, you'll notice the balance is down a little bit. As what I mentioned, this was actually a trade that was made in terms of Bitcoin. And in terms of the very first drop, I did put a buy stop order and it was triggered. And then after that, I hit the stop loss. So I took a loss of around 100 in terms of my main trading account setup over here. Otherwise, no new trade was taken in terms of experimental setup right now. But today, I've actually taken another long trade in terms of the three major pair that I'm trading, which is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Link. So let's see how it goes. And potentially, I could lose another 300 if it does have another severe drop. But after the very large listing drop, I do see potential that we could consolidate and resume back towards the upward trend. But that again, like I say, is a probability kind of game. So let's see how things goes, and I'll talk more about it later on as well. All right, so in terms of the traditional financial market, I would say that there was some sort of a decent support being established yesterday, even though the market did drop significantly in during the market itself, but it did close pretty nicely. So I'll talk more about it. And with the chart, it will be easier to understand. So yeah, so taking a look in terms of the daily chart, you will see very nicely like what I mentioned, I draw yesterday, remember? So yesterday we only have this red candle. I said that if we do break below this upslope, this parallel support, we could actually find support again at this 50 simple moving average and through it. We're very close to touching there and could have entered near that. And or alternatively, you could enter now, depending on the opening. If it opens a little bit higher, then chances are that it could resume back towards the upwards, or it could resume towards the upward momentum or consolidate here before we go up to further higher highs as well. So that's the way to look about it. And similarly for Nasdaq, we get the same thing. We broke down and hit the very key support I was mentioning about, and it hit there very nicely, found support and closed in a very much high as well. So things are looking good both in terms of the US stock for both the tech and non-tech stocks. And similarly for ASUSHA, we find support near here, even though it didn't hit to my target of this 50 simple moving average as well. But you could look at this as this horizontal support region whereby consolidated. So similarly, there is another kind of support region that it could be getting support over as well. And over here, even though ideally I wanted to fall over here, similarly here was previously a resistance, it broke through, so potentially we are finding support here as well. So let's see how price react to it. But overall, I'm definitely leaning towards somewhat bullish in terms of the traditional financial market, but not so much for Bitcoin, I have to admit. Even though we did find support and close above the 20 exponential moving average on the daily chart, which is definitely a good sign. And if we do close today with somewhat with price above the 20 exponential moving average to form somewhat like an inside bar, then yes, we could potentially resume towards the upward trend up tomorrow. But do bear in mind that there is somewhat like an indecision in the market, and especially you do notice the decrease in volume likely today, even though there's still around 10 hours to go, but we are very unlikely to see the volume to match the volume that we have yesterday after a very large listing drop, whereby buyers are could be a little bit more hesitant to add in until they see more distinct kind of buying pressure in that sense. So likewise for me, when it comes to a trading perspective, yes, I'm a little bit more hesitant. But when it comes to a investment perspective, I've actually been adding position around here, the 49K region to 51K region. I didn't manage to add here the 46K region because, yeah, those period I was asleep and I already added sufficient position to that for this month period. So I'm definitely not adding anymore. But we do fall below to here, which is the target of 40K region, then will actually so-called temporarily overexpose myself by putting in the next month kind of my target earlier than expected. That's something that I do to so-called overstretch myself. But definitely I do not use leverage in that perspective. I just dig in further into my savings in terms of a temporary allocation in that perspective. All right, so in terms of a potential trading setup is yes, I'm waiting for potential consolidation below this 51K which I've drawn. So now I do see some sort of consolidation, although we could also potentially see some sort of resistance at this 20 exponential moving average on the 4-hourly chart. But if we do consolidate for at least another one more candlestick, then potentially I will put a buy stop order above here, which is at a 51.5K region. And then I'll enter with a target over here at a 56.4K mark. And then with a stop loss at right over here, which is at 48.5K, yeah, 48.48K region. So that's something to bear in mind. And yep, that's more or less about it. and I'll see you guys tomorrow if this setup do get entered. But do bear in mind that I need to see 5 4-hour candlestick, and right now I see 1 2 3 4, and I do not want this candlestick to actually close below. So if we actually close below this stop loss that I'm going to have, then definitely this trade will no longer be valid. But it can go lower, and if it does close back above this region, then it is still considered a valid consolidation below the resistance in my definition itself. So yep, that's more or less about it, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye bye.